Let's talk about debt, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about debt.
Well, we're back again this week, and I'll tell you, last season was great, but this season is going to be that and then some, because I feel like we learned so much last season with not only just how we did the recordings, where we did them, who our guests were, but I'm super, super excited to actually bring people into the world of life after debt, starting with who these debt resolution advisors are and why they're here. And the reason I think it's so important before I introduce our guest this week is because I take such pride in being integrous in our conversations that we have with life after debt. And so every single person that I have personally selected to be on this team is because I feel like the way that they live their life, their story of financial disaster, calamity, and to where they are today, you are going to be able to relate with them. And they're integrous in their delivery, so they know how to create the space for individuals like yourself who are struggling with credit card debt. And this person that I'm bringing on today is no stranger for those who know me personally or have seen Life After Debt for the last year. She was my very first debt resolution advisor. She's become like my right arm, and we have such a great synergy with the way we approach this business, with the way we approach our team, with the way we approach the individuals that are setting clarity calls. And so Cindy Faulkner has had 20 years in the industry of leading people, leading teams, collaborating, building brands. She's done it all. And our story goes way back into the days of college. We both attended Liberty University, and she went on later to go into nursing, whereas I dropped out. I was the college dropout, but I did graduate. So here we are today, able to bring us back together and serve other people with creating these spaces. So Cindy, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy woman, but to take the time to come on today so everybody can re-meet you again and hear from you.
Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you for having me.
Yes. So I know inquiring minds want to know, most people think that if you're part of the Life After Debt team, you're like this expert in the financial world. And it's such a myth, right? Because it's like, I always say financial planners are wasted on the rich. And it's actually the people, like you and I, who are sitting at home who, hey, I don't know much about money, but I have all this credit card debt, because we've both been there, right? So tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what your role is with Life After Debt.
So, well, first of all, I'm Cindy Faulkner. And as Amber said, I'm 20 years in working with people. And one of the things that I wish I had done differently was is in my relationship with money. I'm really good with people, but my relationship with money was not so healthy. And I've learned so much from you, so thank you. But being able to come alongside after learning what I've learned, and I will, till the day I die, get to learn. It doesn't change. You don't arrive. And I think the best thing I've learned is I'm not alone.
It's so good.
In a financial struggle. And that's literally my biggest message to anybody that I have the privilege of talking to or working with, is that you're not alone. And, being able to overcome, and every day I'm overcoming.
Yeah.
So I recently read something somewhere on social media. I don't remember who it was, but the beauty in becoming. There's a beauty in becoming. And we don't ever arrive at that point. Every day we are becoming. And that's the process I'm in, not just financially, but in every area of my life. But literally financially, I get to claim that. And I'm grateful for becoming in that area with what I'm overcome and what I'm coming into.
And I think that's why, these clarity calls are so valuable, is because it's not necessarily that they want all the answers. They just want to know they're not alone, right?
Exactly.
And that's the first thing we hear when someone jumps on a clarity call and they are simply sharing their story, It's not because they need us to tell them everything what to do. It's almost like they just want to get it out and hear someone say, it's okay. I have been there, and there's another side of this that you'll get to. And it gives them hope. And so for us as a team and all of the debt resolution advisors, it's such a big piece of the puzzle that we, and especially the people that I bring on, that they've actually had that experience for themselves. And you
Yes.
hit it on the nail. I'm the same way. I constantly am still learning every single day something about money, whether it's a platform or an investment opportunity or things that you can do to negotiate XYZ. Like there is always something to learn. And if you stay in that posture of learning, right, you're
Yes.
constantly going to be able to help someone else with the gifts or the things that you're absorbing. So I know that's true with you, Cindy. I've watched you do it numerous times and heard the conversation. And it's actually funny because I think every debt resolution advisor is different in their approach. I think
Yep.
you would agree with that.
Yep.
And the one common thread for you is that people will sit and talk, and I've heard them do it. They'll tell you everything, and the response is always the same. And you can hear the sympathy in your voice because you have lived that moment, right? That moment of like, the sky is falling. I can't do this anymore, because I hear it all the time from people also. I can't do this anymore. I feel helpless.
Helpless. It's a good word.
I can't see the way out. Like, what am I supposed to do? And you meet them right there. Got it. Like, I am so sorry that you're feeling this way, right?
Right.
It's a lost start.
It is a lost art, and having the guidance and a resolution and a direction for someone that needs help with debt resolution is important. But before even get to that step, coming alongside them to tell them that they are not alone, to tell them that their anxiety or whatever their stressors are in all of this, that they're not alone in that, is really my role. I look at it as really, I'm a guide in your next right step, because it is and can be so overwhelming. So somebody coming at you with all this information, they're not in a place to take it in, because you have all of these, there's just all this stress and overwhelm and all these feelings. So it's such a privilege to be able to come alongside and just say, all right, do you trust me? Will you put your hand in mine, figuratively, and let's look at your next right step? And such a privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah, and you do a great job at it. Now, of all the people that you've talked to, maybe if you could share with our audience a story of an individual or a conversation that you've had that, I know people are dying to know, well, what do you guys do? Like, what is it that you do? Am I getting a loan? Am I just kind of like summarize what the role is that you play with these people once they book a clarity call with you?
So when someone books a clarity call, and I do have someone in mind, and she was widowed or divorced, but she was in her early 60s. And she had a good amount of debt. And she wanted and needed a reprieve on it. She wanted hope for the future. And so being able to come alongside her and say, hey, here's a debt resolution. Here's what I see as a next right step for you. And it's involved in a hardship program to be able to have your debt negotiated and settled for up to half of what you owe. And, when I tell them, I give them a loose example of what that looks like. And then I say, it was 50,000 and now it's going to be 25. How does that feel, Amber? Like, let's sit in that for a minute.
Yeah.
And not just, rush past. That's a significant thing,
Absolutely.
And so there's a couple different ways that they say big, and to be able to come along and give somebody that good news, and then just a simple example of how it's going to work for them. It really just comes down to whether or not someone wants to trust, and if they're ready. But it is not a hard thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the key is they have to be ready. Everybody hits their bottom moment at different times,
Yeah.
I always tell people when I hear them, they'll get on these calls and they'll ask a ton of questions. I'm sure you've heard this before. They'll ask a ton of questions. I always say, don't you wish you would ask that many questions when you applied for the credit card?
I remember the first time I heard you say that, and I was like, I wish I had. I mean, like,
Don't, but yet people can offer us solutions and we question the validity of the solution. Like that's really where we've gotten. And so it's so great to have a team of advisors that really ultimately at the end of the day, I tell you guys this all the time, people will communicate and open up with people they trust. And so if we can build trust with those individuals who are watching, right, this podcast and they say, hey, I just want to do a clarity call. I've been dying to do one, but I didn't know who your team was. I don't know what their credentials are. I don't know, this is their opportunity to learn who you are, Cindy, and how they can connect with you to get to the other side of their
so,
debt.
yeah.
But there is a
Yeah.
life after it. I mean, you've walked through this personally,
Mm-hmm. Yes. And not in a fun way.
right? And not because you were careless, by the way. I think that's the
No.
other conception is that
Yeah.
this is just for people who have been reckless with their finances. That's not the case.
No, it's not. It's I've talked to so many people and there are people that have been reckless. And then there is people, it's the world that we live in today, the hardships that are out there, you would not believe. Like I hear these stories and I just continue sometimes to be surprised. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to hear today, but Lord, you're going to help me. And he's always shows up.
Mhm.
So it's, getting to be that vessel is such a gift. It's a privilege.
And we all have these stories inside of us that we feel so ooey about and ashamed about.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't it interesting, though, that how God can use our stories, and every single one of the debt advisors on the team, they have a story. And it's creating the space and being vulnerable enough to share that, hey, this really happened to me, not because I was reckless like yourself. I had a hardship. I lost my job. Our house was flooded. We went through COVID. Like there's always a story of how we can qualify someone to be a part of this hardship program. But the hardest part is just being vulnerable and honest.
Yes.
And sharing and picking the phone up and booking a clarity call. It's free. And so if they can get to that place to where they feel comfortable enough, on the flip side of that, we've hung up with people and it's like they feel like the weight of the world's been lifted off their shoulders.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
To just know that number one, you're not alone. Someone's going to come alongside you. I like to say that there's this proverbial backpack that you're carrying.
Yeah.
That someone can come alongside, take that backpack off and be with you and coming along and resolving this.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to be alone. And then that is such a gift.
It is a gift because it seems like it during the time, the more you're staying in your head, and we hear this from people, I haven't told anybody, but ... Or I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses and we can't do it anymore because all my cards are maxed out. It's so simple, right? But until someone gets to that place and can really have that conversation, the freedom that's found in it is astronomical.
It is. In comparison, it's a thief of joy.
That's right.
And I wish I could give credit to where I heard that quote. So I want to say it's not mine. I don't remember. But that's what I was doing. And that's what the average person, 75%, right, of Americans have this unsecured credit card debt or personal loans, medical bills. And I was comparing myself to people, and I didn't know their stories.
Right.
I didn't know, but that's 7.5 out of 10 people. Well, I might know. It was stealing my joy.
That's right.
And there's no need for, I'm not doing that anymore.
That's so good. And it does. A lot of the debt that people incur is simply to keep up because they perceive someone else as better off than they are, or that they have something that they don't have. And so it's this vicious cycle. Being able to break that cycle and be aware of it, like you just said, just being so aware of the root, right?
The root. Yeah. Because
the debt's just a symptom.
It's a symptom. Yeah.
And so being able to dial in with individuals and dig down deep and figure out where it's stemming from, it's a powerful exercise. And it's so fun that we can do this in 15 minutes. But I have a question for you because it's not always coming up roses. So my question is, what is your favorite thing about this role that you played out versus like the roles you played in the past? It looks different. Maybe the same, a little bit different. And then what's your least favorite?
Oh, okay. So I would say my favorite is being able to come alongside and tell someone they're not alone and offer them hope. That's my favorite thing. is to remind just people the gift of hearing it, that you're not alone. And for me to be able to say, I just give you just a brief in the beginning, what my credit score was versus my debt to income ratio, right? And to just say, this was my scenario. We're going to use a loose example. And this is, and for them to be able to hear, and so many of them just say, thank you for sharing that. Because it's a proof to them that they're definitely not alone.
Right.
So that's my favorite thing, is being able to offer hope. I'd say my least favorite thing is talking.
Which, by the way, I just want to go back to your favorite thing, because I think that has a lot to do with your number on the Enneagram also. Because we love to be helpers. That's a healthy 8, right? We want to help.
Yeah.
We want to fight for people. We want to this even against the banks and credit. I know we're the same number. We talk about this all the time, and so it feeds us when we're able to kind of stand in the gap for someone else,
and advocate.
Right?
Advocate. Yeah. Oh, yes. So that's a great way to say it. It's really, I am an advocate. Why I went to nursing school too, was just advocate for people.
Right.
And then I think probably my least favorite thing is when they're not ready.
Yeah. Like
whatever the reason is. When they're stuck, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. When they're stuck and they're not ready and they don't go to the next level for whatever the reason is. And I don't know everything. And I don't know their whole story, but that's probably my least favorite part, is just when it doesn't, pan out the way that I'd like it to.
So let's talk about that for a moment, because I think that's a really great topic, especially with you, because you've done thousands of calls. Like, you've been with me for over a year. So you've done a lot of calls and had a lot of conversations. And I know from my perspective, I equate it to almost going to the doctor. Okay. And the doctor saying, well, you've got this. So here's the prescription. If you take this, if your blood pressure's high and you take this over the next 30 days, you're going to see it start to come down. I know for me, the frustrating part is hearing the second guessing or the talking through, knowing when they hang up the phone, every moment they're waiting, they're incurring interest on interest on interest, that they're not even able to make more than the minimum payment. So that balance is tripling, right? Because of their inability just to make a simple decision to stop the chaos, stop the madness, and everywhere you go, there you are. It's just going to continue. It's literally like you want to do it for them, but you can't.
Which is true of anything in life, right? With people, but no, you can't.
Yeah.
And you and I agree. We've talked about this many times. It's not my job to talk you into something. It's your decision.
That's right.
And but I'm going to guide you and be honest. That's what I get to do, is just be honest with you. But what I have found for myself personally, and in talking with people, that the hardest thing is making the decision to do it.
That's right.
But once you make the decision to do it, you are set free.
It is so the truth. And we always say at Life After Debt, one of our biggest pillars is we do not sell anything to anyone.
Right.
It's not the role of the debt resolution advisors. Their role is to come from the place of helping, to go over the options of where you are at the time that you set your clarity call, and help you navigate which option is best for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And everybody's story is different.
Everybody's story is different. Every resolution is curated specifically for your story. And so those 15-minute clarity calls, they are so valuable. It's not a pitch. It's not a sale. It's 15 minutes for complete transparency and clarity for you to unload what you're carrying in your backpack, so that our debt advisors can actually lay out your options for you, and you can choose the best one for you.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so good. Where do you see yourself? I always love to ask these questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So I see myself still doing some clarity calls, but really admonishing, motivating other debt resolution advisors to be successful.
Yeah.
Um,
I love
and
that.
and being able to pour into them and encourage them. And my passion, that's my passion.
And your
Uh,
back.
and my background. Yep. And I'm good at it.
Yes, you are.
So, and I don't mean that in a cocky way. I just mean that's just where my passion is and my purpose, is sewing into people, which I'm doing on these verticals for sure. And I love that. But to be able to come alongside, as I have with these other debt resolution advisors, and hear them and educate them and motivate them, and is such a gift.
Mhm.
And to see their light bulb moments is like, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
And I don't think it comes naturally. I think when you're passionate about a project, and because I've seen this in you from previous roles that you've played, but when you're passionate and you believe in something, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how to give the tools to those around you to succeed also in that industry. And so this is actually a great point for me to bring up now. I know you're actually looking now to bring on some new debt advisors because our team is actively growing. So can
Mm-hmm.
you explain what that looks like if someone's
Yeah.
watching or listening and they're interested in being part
Oh,
of your
yeah.
team?
Yeah. No, if you're interested in being part of the team, the debt resolution advisor team, yay. Of course, it's going to start with the conversation and just asking you questions and getting to know you, and looking at what your passion is, and what you bring to the table, what your story is, and finding out if it's a good fit. I like to explore with people and just say, is this a good fit? Telling you what we're about, and, you know, creating clear expectations, um, and just seeing if it's a good fit, you and I working together, and you with the team. And we can always, it's literally the more we multiply this, the more people we help.
That's right.
And that trickle effect is
Yep.
what I dream about. Like,
Yeah.
that's just you know, being able to pay it forward multiple times over is such a, it's just, well, that's what we're about.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a gift. And I see, and I've seen you when you've trained other debt advisors, how you light up, because it's almost like, we're only as good as what we can do, right? But it's when
Mhm.
we give our gifts away to other people and they're able to then help other people, that's when you start to see the magnitude of your true gift,
Yes.
right?
That's a great point.
And
Yes, for
so
sure. Yeah.
I left the day-to-day operations of running my own companies to do this. I knew at first it was, how is this going to fulfill me like running the company? But at the end of the day, it's actually more fulfilling because I can pour into other people so they can help other people avoid bankruptcy like I had to experience, and all the side effects of that. And so
Mhm.
just by building this team and continuing to add on new debt advisors, and I know I say this all the time, Cindy, but I'll say it here too for anybody listening. There's no one better to be trained by than Cindy when it comes to
Oh,
just giving you the tools necessary to succeed, to be a voice for other people and like-minded people. I'm telling you,
yeah.
you've gotten yourself in this situation. You're in a circle of individuals who are in this situation. And for you to be that light of hope that can offer them help is tremendous. And so I just
Mhm.
want to say that as we start to wind down, I want to make sure people know how to get in contact with you, Cindy, because you are that person who approves, brings on any new debt resolution advisors to the team,
Okay.
and get them onboarded. So what is the best way that they can reach out to you?
The best way to reach to me is Cindy@reducemydebts.com. Email.
Awesome. And
Simple.
they can book clarity calls with you also
Yeah.
on your site
Yeah.
specifically. So if you are struggling with debt, I think, the thing about our debt advisors that I love is that we're all so different. And that's why I'm doing this exercise at the beginning of season 2 and sharing with you all of the debt advisors so you feel like you know a little bit about them personally, so that you're not booking a call with a complete stranger. And if they want to book a call directly with you, Cindy, how do they do that?
Can give that we share the link? We
Yeah,
can't share.
share the link, but also your website. Also, you do that
Yeah.
on your web.
Thank you. Thank you, Amber. Reducemydebts.com/Cindy, and reducemydebts.com/Cindy. And you can just click on book a clarity call right there. It's free.
It's free. And you know what? You will find such clarity in booking that call, and you'll love talking with Cindy because she's hilarious. So I'm just going to ask you 3 questions as we close this call, Cindy, they're just fun questions.
We like fun.
Okay. Where's your favorite place to travel and why?
Oh, okay. So, Australia. I love going to Australia. I want to go back. There's so many
Wow.
more things I want to see. And then Northern California.
Interesting.
I've been there several times. I drove up the coast.
Yes.
All right. And then I've stayed up in Monterey and Carmel.
I love Carmel.
And it's just the architecture, just everything is so beautiful. I don't want to live in California, but I love to vacation there. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, favorite food?
Oh God. Favorite food. I love so many foods.
Me too. I'm a foodie. It's got to be our number.
I think it is. I love great Italian.
Yeah, me too.
Hips don't lie.
And then last question. What do you like to do in your free time? What's your release? What is your thing?
Let's see. I love to read, so that it depends on if I want the release to be personal growth, and sometimes that part is a release because it's so exciting.
Yep, I can.
Right. Or I will listen to an Audible, and I love a good psychological thriller because it keeps my mind, So I love that. And then just quality time with friends is a great release. Just getting to be with people that I love and care about, and getting to be a part of their world.
Relationships. It's a big one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Cindy, for coming on today. I'm so glad that the audience got to hear a little bit about you. You are the senior debt resolution advisor on the team. I'm so glad that people now know how to get in contact if they're interested in joining the team, but just to hear who you are, why you're a part of this team. And I know I am super grateful for you. And honestly, I've dreamed of this day for years. So thank you.
Thank you, Amber. I appreciate you.
All right. Until next week, if you need to get in contact with us for any reason, don't hesitate. Reach out social media, or you can go to our website, reducemydebts.com. You can book a free clarity call there with any of our debt advisors that you see come on the show, or myself. So please make sure, reach out if you need help. We're here. All you have to do is ask.